Hi, friends. This is Carrie, the Quantum Gypsy. I'm a Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis Practitioner. I wanted to just really thank you all for listening, subscribing, sharing, commenting, any way you support this work of the quantum hypnosis information that we bring forth, or any of the other projects that I work on. I just, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you for just sharing the space, and we can co create this all together. But this series, I've been working with so many other great practitioners. I have Sierra, I have Maja, and now I have my newest friend that's also a fellow practitioner, Elizabeth. We've been doing these great in-depth information gathering of what's gone on with the galactic history. And it's so important because with the Lyra and Vega wars, that occurred in the galactics, they also continued here on Earth. And they set a lot of the groundwork for what happened in Atlantis, Lemuria, and even Egypt. And there were great wars and cycles that came. But the good news is we are here now at this time to break the cycle. But if you feel called, like you were part of those wars, or you were part of the Lyran collective, or any of the Syrian collective, the Elohim, even the Nephilim, Reptilians, Draconians, any of the collectives that you feel connected with, you could be karmically carrying on that energy into this lifetime. So listen to this information. It's so enlightening of the history, and we hope to be doing more, and we're just enjoying understanding this, and we really feel called to bring and clear the energy for anyone who is connected to these lifetimes, because it's time now for us to evolve. It's time for us to break free of those cycles. And it's time for us to create the world and manifest the world in the fifth dimensional energies of what we want to create, about just love. And so we're here for it. If you feel called to have your own session of your own, please reach out to me. I will also place Elizabeth's information in the description, and any other information and links that we can also point you to if you need any help. We're here for you. All right, guys, this is going to be part one of a who knows how many part series, but we got 3 parts out of this one channeling session alone. And Elizabeth was a great vehicle in relaying this information. So enjoy. I hope this clears, brings higher information. And yeah, we're all in this together, guys. I love you. Now, when the Elohim called out to the pleroma to have the other Elohim come to the earth, what happened there?
Isis and Osiris made the call. Well, his physical body was being regenerated in a tank in one of the Lyran technologies. And we infused this with, Isis infused it with Elohim technologies. And that is why you get the story of Anubis being the one that helps with the rebirth of Osiris. It is because the Lyran race provided technology from their ships to regenerate the physical body of this Elohim being that had been destroyed, so that his soul can come back in and that we could complete the mission on Earth. So this is going very deep into the mythological lore, but there is always a different meaning behind what is written in the myth, always a very deeper meaning, and sometimes a different meaning. Sometimes it was very much misconstrued, but some original sort of breadcrumbs still remain. So Isis made the call to the other Elohim to come down, and Horus made the call as well. And the Elohim beings and the extraterrestrial beings made the call. And then we, the Elohim, had a discussion. The council gathered, all of the Elohim council gathered, and my council gathered as well. And then we made great discussions with one another about what to do and the situation with the Nephilim on the earth plane at that time and how to attack this. So we became aware of the weapon that Set had used to blow up Osiris and blow up his body, which is very difficult to do to an Elohim being, even an Elohim being. In a physical body, they are very powerful and it would be difficult to do that. So he employed a weapon to use to do this. So in order for us to come, we had to locate this weapon and then destroy it. So this was the first priority, to locate the weapon and destroy it. After that, we would come in stages. We would come in various waves and assemble beneath the earth in Jerusalem. We came at different waves at different points. I came during what you would call August, around this Lionsgate sort of period at that time. And I came with Apollo. And we manifested physical bodies for ourselves once we arrived. We simply materialized a body for ourselves. And then we began to get to work in, we met up with Isis and Horus and the other extraterrestrial beings. And I'm seeing that this was where I met Anubis for the first time. It was in this underground situation, these tunnels under the earth. And we were making our plans. The dark forces were on the surface at that time. And we were coming in our waves and regrouping underground. And so we started to make decisions and call many meetings. And there were great halls underground that I'm seeing that were built out of the bedrock. And we filled these halls, the Elohim beings and the extraterrestrial beings. And we all had different representatives. The Arcturians had their representative, the Pleiadians had their representatives. There was all of these different forces gathered to speak about what we were going to take part in next, what we were going to do, and how we were going to approach this very tenuous situation. Because this was what you would call an emergency situation, and we had to come down from the pleroma to assist with this. So there was much planning. And I didn't have much to do with Anubis during this planning stage. Didn't have much to do with him. I was very much in the presence of Horus and the council. We were making our plans of what to do. And I was assisting Horus. And Athena was there too, and she was assisting, and she was known as Neith to the Egyptians. And she was assisting too with this. And because my intelligence is I can do these sort of war plans very well. I was helping with this, and we were doing all of our different specialties. But the Elohim beings, and we made a body for ourselves. We made a body beforehand, before we came into the earth. And as we came to the earth, like it was easier for us to make a body when we were outside of the earth than rather than in the earth. This is to do with the density of the earth plane. Like once you are in here, there is a density that drops significantly. And this is when you come into the Van Allen belt, this drops significantly. So I'm seeing that when we made bodies for ourselves, that we had to do this. We had to manifest the body on a ship, then come in with the ship, and then we were in a form and able to disembark. That's what I'm seeing. Because she was wondering about how we manifested bodies, how we did this, and how Osiris could not manifest a body with his soul immediately afterwards. It had to be regenerated. And I'm just seeing it was because of the density on the earth plane at the time. Once you are here, it is very dense. It is harder to change the form, because there was a lot of darkness at this time. So this makes the energy very sticky and treacle-like. There is not so much fluidity with it. When you are in a body, there is not so much fluidness within the form. So once you are there, you are kind of there is a stuckness about it. That's all extraterrestrials. That when they arrive here in a more physical form, that they experience this level of density. And they still have these advanced psychic capabilities, but the denseness of the physical body is often very taxing on them while they are in this environment. So before they come to Earth, they made some changes with their bodies in order to adapt to the environment more easily. I'm seeing Anubis did this before he came to Earth. He made some adjustments with his body, with his form, so that he could be more, I guess, flexible with his psychic abilities despite being on the density of the earth plane. After the fall of Atlantis, the density when the continent fell reached an apex where things became a lot less, the energy became a lot more dense. When things happen on the earth plane, the density drops significantly. So the extraterrestrials were well aware of this and well aware of what situation they were going into when they came to this place. They were very, very brave, is what I'm trying to say.
So, and I understand that and appreciate that information. When they came here and incarnated those bodies or manifested those bodies, was that before or after the fall of Atlantis? I'm trying to understand if Atlantis fell and all this happened, or if they came in and caused Atlantis to fall.
Okay, so what happened was there was different stages of events. So in the golden age of Atlantis, the Earth was at a different density level. It was a much higher density level. And then there was the Atlanteans themselves started to experiment with the dark magic and dark ways of doing things. And then the density levels began to fall. But I'm seeing that this was already seeded in the earth, these energies from long before. There was already some of these energies present. They just needed to be focused upon in order to make it bigger, so to say. So when these energies, it was a little bit like a frog being boiled in a pot of water. It was slowly, slowly, slowly turned up. So these energies were there. The frog was already in the pot. However, what the Atlanteans did was, with their curiosity, they began to turn on the boiling water. And as the boiling water was turned up, the earth began to fall in density, and it began to attract the influence of these beings. So the Atlanteans began to astral travel and visit these different sort of entities and beings, and they existed as shadows in their world for quite some time until they could be more physical. So at one point, the reptilian beings do come into Atlantis, and they do invade when it gets to a certain point, and they are attracted to that. It was like they were invited in by the early Atlanteans. They were invited in, very similar to how the Lyrans invited the reptilians in to begin with. They were curious about them, and they wanted to learn. They wanted to gather information about these beings. So they came to Atlantis. And then when they came to Atlantis, the earth dropped as well in density again. So speaking of the level of the earth, because the humans weren't so switched on as the Lyrans. They were a little bit more silly sometimes. This is the problem with humans. They are very curious, but they were a little bit wanton in their behaviors. They just did things like willy-nilly, like, this is the lesson of humans, just because you can doesn't mean you should, sort of a thing. Because they have this habit time and time again of just doing things because they can, because they want to find out about it, even if they feel that it is not in their best interest. They want to try it just anyway. And you can see this with a lot of the scientists and what they're playing out today with, what sort of things that they are doing to the earth, just very carelessly, without much care or consideration. So this is a lesson for them. So this is what was happening. So they invited them in through their demeanor. It was destined to be something that was going to happen. Destined to meet each other as well. Same as the Lyrans. The humans and reptilians were destined to meet each other. And through this, there came other things. The Atlanteans, they grew very much in their advanced capabilities in researching the dark magic as well, and what this meant. They were influenced by this. They allowed themselves to become very influenced by these reptilian beings and by their masters as well. The humans become very interested in power as well. This was not something that was native to the original humans as a Lyran species in the beginning, but later on they become influenced, I guess, through collective consciousness, through interacting with other beings. They became influenced and took on the energy and genetics of these other beings. So they were like hybridized in a way. And so they took on these characteristics, but these are originally foreign to them. So they took on the need for control, they took on the need for power, and this began to invite more and more things in. And as the density took place, the density experience on Earth took place, then the Atlanteans began to take a conquering perspective, and they became colonizers. And their colonizing reign was headed by Dark Brotherhood at the time, which was very much in contact with these darker beings. So the Dark Brotherhood at the time was very interested in the Lemurians, and they wanted power from their continent. They wanted this power that they had. These are their powers with the earth and their powers with crystals. So they wanted this, but see, it is like the Lyrans as well. The Lemurians said, we will not give it to you. We will not give you what you want. You know, you cannot take it from us. So the Atlanteans just said, okay, well, we'll take it by force then. And we'll make it very, very hard for you and very, very traumatizing, so you'll never cross us again. And so they sunk the continent. They placed these explosive reverberation detonation devices around the seabed around Lemuria. And they set off these detonations, these explosives, and then the earth, Gaia herself, cracked and groaned. She screamed out for help. This is when we became aware that something was going on, when this was occurring. Well, we had eyes everywhere, but our attention was drawn to what was taking place even more during this time. So the continent of Lemuria was completely sunk, and this was across the entire Pacific Ocean. There is a great empty space where Lemuria used to be. And this would be the hint that there was something there originally. So this continent, this feminine continent, went down, and the tidal waves washed upon the rest of the earth at that time. And the peoples, this was a very big cataclysm event for the earth. I don't think people realize how cataclysmic it was. The Atlanteans, they put up a shield around their continents and around some of their colonies, so they would not be affected by this as much. But as for the other peoples on the earth, they just allowed these peoples to be swallowed up by the waves, by the tidal waves that washed over the outskirts of the Pacific Ocean at this time. So we're talking about early Australia and Japan and Asia and whatnot, and and parts of America and South America and there was a big tidal wave that washed over at this time. So even if this is why you get memories of great floods happening at different points in the Earth period. All of these different flood myths. There were multiple floods. One of them was when Lemuria sunk. Another of the great flooding events was when Atlantis sunk. There were these tidal waves in these certain areas. And then there was another sort of flooding event when there was the solar flash much later on. So this is where all of these flood myths originate, from this time period. So after that sunk, the collective consciousness of humanity was very, very much scarred from this time. And Atlantis had a heavy karmic load that was, I guess, weighing on them heavily at this time. So after the sinking, this was when things really started to go downhill. And around about this time was when they also opened up the portal and let the Nephilim in. Open up the first iteration of what you would call CERN on this earth. And so this is how this took place.
And that's when Set was let in. And so we'll take it to when the Elohim and everyone's kind of joining forces. They have their avatar bodies here incarnated, and they're ready to come together for a decision of how to deal with that. What do they do?